Welcome to Jason in the Kitchen. Today we're going to be making an old classic grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup. This is my favorite tomato soup recipe from Chef Grady Spears, so let's get started. To make our tomato soup, I've already got about 1¼ pounds. You don't have to be exact. That's about 5 regular sized plum tomatoes. I've had big ones, so I only needed 4. And you cut them in half, but mine were bigger, so I cut them in quarters. And then I've got, to add to that, I've got 15 cloves of garlic that are minced. So mine were bigger, so I only used 14. It was about a whole head. That's the way you should look at it. Or, you know, just however much you like garlic. You don't like as much garlic, but less. Okay. And then I've got a red onion that I've finely sliced. It's just one small one. Just kind of spread it out there, all over the top. All right. Now for the spices, I've got a tablespoon of dried thyme, 1/4 teaspoon dried basil, teaspoon kosher salt, and 1½ teaspoons of fresh ground pepper. And we're just going to sprinkle this all over the top. Okay. Now I've got 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. I'm going to sprinkle that over the top. I've got a tablespoon of olive oil. And I've got 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. That we're going to sprinkle over the top. Alright. And that's it for the base. I'm going to wrap this in foil, and my oven is already heated to 350 degrees. So I'm going to wrap this in foil, and we're going to roast this in the oven for 30 minutes until the vegetables are tender. So we'll be back. Alright, our tomato base has been roasted. I've taken all the ingredients out and put them into a blender. Make sure you get all the juice that's left at the bottom, and any bits with a spatula you get into the blender. That's a lot of flavor that's on the bottom of the pan. Now make sure that when you're blending hot liquids, you want to let this cool just a little bit, but you also want to take out your top section of your blender, because the steam will build up pressure and it will explode. So you just get a towel and you put that on the top of your blender instead of your cap. And now you just want to pulse this until you can get a smooth puree. Alright, so now we need to strain our tomato soup base through a strainer. It doesn't have to be fine mesh, into a saucepan. Make sure we get it all out of there. And we're going to take a little rubber spatula and we're going to work this soup base through the strainer, and this will catch any tomato skins that didn't get processed. Okay, now that our soup is strained, I added 1 cup of tomato puree, and I added a ½ teaspoon of baking soda. The recipe calls for a ½ cup of tomato juice and a ½ cup of tomato puree, but I just add 1 cup of tomato puree and skip the tomato juice. Now, as you can see, the soup is bubbling up. That baking soda is reacting with the acid in the tomatoes. And this is what's going to give this tomato soup its unique flavor. It's not going to be as acidic because the baking soda is neutralizing that tomato acid. So you just want to stir this up really good. Make sure that baking soda has a chance to do its job. Okay, now that that's all mixed together, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of heavy cream. And we're going to stir that in. It's looking good. It's looking like tomato soup to me now. Now I'm going to put this over medium heat. We're going to bring this to a boil. And then after it comes to a boil, we're going to turn down the heat and we're going to let it simmer for 20 minutes or so. Then we're going to taste it and see how we're doing on seasonings. All right, while we're waiting on our soup, we're going to go ahead and start on our grilled cheese sandwiches. So I like to use cast iron or carbon steel. I'm going to put some butter in the pan. Then we're going to let that melt. Now if you have softened butter, you can spread that on the bread already. But this is just quick and easy to do it this way. Now there really is no recipe or anything for a grilled cheese sandwich, but I can tell you how I like to do it. I like to cut the bread a little bit thick, and then you rub the one side around, first side, in the butter. Make sure you get it all coated. Okay. Then we're going to let this toast on this side. And then when it's ready, we're going to flip it over and we're going to toast the other side. I like to toast both sides in the butter when I make a grilled cheese. So that's one thing that I do also. So when this is ready to flip, we'll be back. Okay, I think this first side looks good. I'm going to go ahead and put in some more butter now. Spread it around. I'm going to pick up one of the pieces. Oh, be careful, by the way. If you need to use a spatula, use a spatula. You don't have to do it like I do and get burned. But going to put the other piece in there and move it around. Do the same for the other piece. And you want to keep moving your bread around too, depending on if you have any hot spots. I keep the heat on medium-low and adjust it up a little bit as necessary because I don't want to burn the bread. Plus you want to make sure that your cheese melts as well. I'm using homemade sandwich bread. You can go back and look at the video where we made that. Or you can use any kind of bread that you want. Alright, now we're going to add our cheese. You can use any cheese that you like. What I have on hand is I have some cheddar cheese. I'm going to put a slice of cheddar on each side. And I have some provolone that I've shredded. So we're going to put a little bit of that on each side as well. Now we're just going to toast this other side and melt our cheese. I've also got my oven set to 350 because I can only make one sandwich at a time. I can put the sandwiches on a rack on a sheet pan and put it into the oven to keep warm while I'm making the rest of the sandwiches, so that way they don't go cold. So when the cheese melts and the other side is ready, then we'll be back. Okay, our cheddar cheese is melted, our provolone is about half melted, and our other side of the bread is pretty well toasted, so I'm going to flip these over now. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? I'm going to take this and put this on a rack. I'm going to put it into our oven while I finish up the rest of the sandwiches. Alright, all the grilled cheese are done. Soup is simmered. Let's taste this and see what we got. That's good. I'm going to add a little bit more salt though. A pinch of salt here. Now you can adjust this recipe any way you want to. If you want less cream, if you want more tomato, it's up to you. Alright. Let's see how that does for it. Better. I'll put it in another pinch. Let's see what that does. Okay, that's it right there. Always taste and adjust your seasoning. It really makes a difference. All right, so let's plate up the sandwiches and ladle out the soup. All right, here we go. Grilled cheese with tomato soup. Jason doesn't like soup, so he's got some apples to eat on the side. Yvette's not home, so she's gonna eat later. Now you can do whatever you want with the grilled cheese and the tomato basil soup. You can garnish your tomato basil soup with croutons. I don't do that if I'm making a grilled cheese that I like to dunk into the soup. So that's an option for you too. Also for the grilled cheese, another option that we like is with brie, Granny Smith apple, and fig jam. That is delicious. But that's not a good combination to dip into the tomato soup. So when we dip it, we just like it straight, cheese and bread into the soup. But you can garnish and have fun and play with it and do whatever you want and have fun. All right, so let's see what we got here. Give this a try. Hopefully I won't make a mess or burn myself. That is so good. Bread is crunchy, buttery, inside is cheesy. You get the creamy tomato in the back. Oh, this is really good. This is a good, quick, and easy dinner. You can do a lot of this ahead of time, like make your tomato puree ahead of time, and then the soup comes together real easily. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you find value in these videos, please like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, God bless you.